Would you ever eat lunch with someone you don't know? Hi there, I'm Maddie Anderson, and you're listening to Unlocked, your daily key to unlocking God's Word in your life. You'll have to give me some grace today because I am in the middle of an icky little cold, but I still wanted to meet with you today. So let's get started. When I was in college, you ate in the dining hall. I attended a pretty small university, and so you knew most people, but sometimes you'd end up at a table with people who were sort of friends of friends, or who you vaguely knew from class. Thankfully, you already had something in common with everyone, school. So it wasn't terrible to make conversation, but now that I've graduated, it's kind of hard for me to imagine just eating with people I didn't know every day. But that's what today's Devo is all about. It's called Dining with Strangers by Andres Lopez. The mall food courts in Guatemala City are very different from those I visited in the U.S. When I came back from 4 years away from my country, one of the first outings we had was to the mall. Mall runs and window shopping are common practices among most city folk in Guatemala. We especially like doing this on Sunday afternoons. Food courts get packed to the point that families usually have to split up to find a spot to eat. It's crazy, and I bet many of you reading this are already cringing at the thought. The layout of these food courts is pretty interesting. Tables are all touching each other, basically creating 20-person tables. There is no room to separate them, so whether you like it or not, you usually eat lunch with strangers. And that brings us to today's Bible passage. Shortly after Jesus' resurrection, he appeared to two of his disciples, walking along the road to Emmaus with them. But Luke 24:16 says, they were prevented from recognizing him. Even though Jesus was an apparent stranger to these disciples, they still invited him over for dinner. Jesus accepted and ate with them. And he broke the bread, just as he had done the night before he went to the cross. When that happened, the disciples' eyes were opened and they recognized him. And then he vanished. Is it too bold to say that maybe having lunch with strangers, even at such a common place as a food court, we might be dining with Jesus, welcoming him to have lunch with us? Is it even crazier to think that when others are hosts to us, we might recognize Jesus in them? Hospitality is an opportunity to show and remember Jesus' love and his presence with us. It's a chance to recognize and proclaim that Jesus came to dwell with us even when we were estranged from him. So let's talk about this a little bit more together. Can you think of a time you felt welcomed by others? What was that like? As Christians, how can we safely welcome strangers among us into our lives? How might God be inviting you to reach out to the outcasts in your school, church, neighborhood, etc.? Consider taking a moment to talk to Jesus about this. Additionally, who is a trusted Christian adult, such as a parent, pastor, or youth leader, you can talk to about what practicing hospitality could look like in your life? As you and I can read in Romans 15:7, therefore welcome one another, just as Christ also welcomed you to the glory of God. Now I'd encourage you to read in your life Luke 22:19 as well as 24 verses 13 through 36 to keep God's word alive in your life. Unlocked is a resource of Keys for Kids Ministries. Has the Lord been teaching you something new recently? Well, we want to hear about it. Head over to unlocked.org and check out our writer's guidelines to find out how you can write for us. Also join us for tomorrow's Devo called Dead with yours truly. But until then, I'm Natty, encouraging you to live life unlocked, opening the door to God's Word in your life.